Tonight at Kol Hadash, we celebrate our 20th birthday. Of course, every story has a prehistory, an evolution that led to our beginning. For the prehistory of Kol Hadash, we go all the way back to the dawn of time, when hominids emerged from their caves to battle for dominance. Two warring groups clashed until one discovered how to use a tool to bash it. Oh, wait a minute, that's the movie 2001, not the year 2001. The real roots of Kol Hadash go back long before 2001. There have been questioning Jews ever since the author of one of the Abraham stories had him challenge God by asking, "Shall not the judge of all the world do justice?" Or remember Job's eternal question of why bad things happen to good people. In our more immediate past, there have been secular Jewish communities and schools in the Chicago area continuously since the early 1900s. In 1965, a young rabbi named Daniel Friedman began experimenting with what he called rational Judaism at Congregation Beth Or in the uncharted wilderness known as Deerfield. During Rabbi Friedman's interview with the congregation, which was actually founded in 1960, he gave the committee passages from the Union Prayer Book of Reform Judaism. And he asked this interview committee, "Read this passage. Do you actually believe what it says there?" Of course, the answer was no. But where other congregations had been turned off by that question, this group loved it. By 1969, Congregation Beth Or had converted from a Reformed temple to one of the founding congregations of the Society for Humanistic Judaism. Beth Or was a sister community to the Birmingham Temple in suburban Detroit, led by Rabbi Sherwin Wine, who had named the movement Humanistic Judaism. And that's where I was raised, that's where I was ordained, and that's where I worked as a rabbi before coming to Kol Hadash. Rabbis Wine and Friedman then, and Rabbi Chalom today, agreed that our Judaism should celebrate the power and responsibility of people to be in charge of their own lives, and that our celebration of Jewish culture, history, and identity should be consistent with that philosophy. Kol Hadash includes many people with Beth Or connections. They were members themselves for decades, or they grew up attending Sunday school and celebrated their bar or bat mitzvah or confirmation there, or they were married by Rabbi Friedman over his long career, especially in the decades when he was one of the only rabbis in Chicagoland willing to celebrate love across religious and ethnic boundaries. Shortly after Rabbi Friedman retired, a number of Beth Or members founded Kol Hadash to continue their humanistic Jewish Chicago tradition. Today, with Rabbi Friedman as our Rabbi Emeritus and myself serving as Kol Hadash Rabbi, we bring together the best of Congregation Beth Or, Birmingham Temple, and humanistic Judaism. And with that real documented prehistory, I invite you to listen to three of our founding members remember the beginnings of Kol Hadash.
How did we pick our name? I'm David Hirsch. My wife Glynis and I are founding members. One of our first actions as a new congregation was choosing a name. Imagine a room of 40 or more smart, passionate, and opinionated people choosing one name from a list of more than 50 submissions. Some people were adamant it has to be in English, not in Hebrew. Some were equally adamant it has to be in Hebrew, not in English. But it wasn't just about picking a winner. It was about doing so in a way that modeled the values we wanted to define our new congregation. It was about being thoughtful, open, respectful, and transparent. And it was messy. But no one person forced an outcome. No one grumbled when their favorite name dropped off. When Kol Hadash, New Voice, emerged as the winner, we all celebrated.
Our first service was not Rosh Hashanah as we had planned. Hi, I'm Roger Addelson. My wife Sue and I are founding members of Congregation Kol Hadash, and I was the first steering committee chair. Everyone was really looking forward to Rosh Hashanah, which was our first service and our first congregational event. But then 9/11 happened. We deeply wanted and needed to come together as a congregation, as a community, as friends and as family, to share our feelings and find comfort with one another. The steering committee jumped into action, and 3 nights later, we held our first Shabbat service. We lit candles, we sang songs, and of course, like all Kol Hadash events, we ate. A week later, as we had planned, the whole congregation came together for Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Dan Friedman, the rabbi from our predecessor congregation, Beth Or, had come out of retirement to act as our rabbinic advisor. As Rabbi Friedman came to the bima, and Lois Wolins began a familiar nigun on the piano, strong emotions swept through the congregation.
Why is our Torah almost as big as the Bar Mitzvah students who have to hold it? I'm Andrea Friedlander, a founding member of Kol Hadash. Our first Bar Mitzvah services at the Unitarian Church were in April of 2002, and we did not have a Torah for the kids to read from. At the time, the congregation wasn't even sure if it wanted a Torah. First, a Torah to purchase would cost about $20,000. And because we viewed the Torah as a symbol of Jewish learning rather than a sacred object itself, we debated whether we could just have a book instead of a scroll. I was the steering committee chair at the time, and while the debate went unresolved in the congregation, I called a few local congregations to see if we could borrow a Torah for the upcoming Bar Mitzvahs. Congregation B'nai Tikva in Deerfield had a Torah that they viewed as being unkosher, and they were willing to lend it to us. We were thrilled. We didn't care about it being kosher or not. But now we needed an ark to put it in for the Bar Mitzvah services. Lori Gerberding and I went to IKEA in search of a bookcase that we could use. We found one, built it, hung a curtain, and voila, we had an ark. When I called B'nai Tikva to arrange to return the Torah, I was shocked when they offered to sell it to us for $500. $500? Forget the philosophical debate. Forget the fact that the Torah was monster size. This was like someone giving us a Torah for free. We all realized that it was a deal, a once in a lifetime deal that we couldn't pass up, and we never looked back. Our beautiful Torah cover was quilted by Beth Gilbert in 2005, and the IKEA bookcase served as our ark until 2011, when Phil Reed built the beautiful ark that we use today. Since getting our Torah, over 100 Kol Hadash, very strong Bar Mitzvah kids hoisted that Torah.
Way to go, Andrea, making us proud. Nothing we Jews like more than getting a great deal on a Torah. And while Kol Hadash is a great name for us, I'm still bitter that my suggestion wasn't chosen, because if it were right now, I would be hosting the 20th anniversary of synagogue. Humanistic Jews are the only ones who knows what's going on, and Everybody else is crazy. And now it's time for trivia. If you want to keep score at home, you're welcome to, but I can't because we haven't paid for that level of Zoom. Question 1. Kol Hadash originated from Congregation Beth Or. Tech giant Google's search engine originated under what name? Is it InfoSeek, /, Backrub, or Hotbot? The correct answer is Backrub. This is where I would make a joke about the $310 million settlement that Google paid due to some unwanted backrubs, but I'm afraid if I do that, my internet will suddenly go out in the middle of this party. Question number 2. Roger talked about how 9/11 was the first service for Kol Hadash. What book was President George Bush reading to a second grade class when he was told about the 9/11 attack? Was it The Very Hungry Caterpillar, The Little Engine That Could, The Pet Goat, or Norman, One Amazing Goldfish? The correct answer is 3, The Pet Goat. Coincidentally, that was Dick Cheney's nickname for President Bush. And question number 3, what does the word Torah mean? Is it God's word, history, love, or teaching? The correct answer is teaching. There's nothing funny about this at all. It's just the definition of a word, guys. Not all of this can be funny. Keep your scores for later because there's more trivia later on.